Hi, we're working today with class number 41. I think this is an amazing class that is really simple, but it works with a few of the most important things we do in this method. We do have our torso and mainly our spine on the floor most of the time, and we work very lightly with shoulders and shoulder girdle. We introduce some neck rotations that, as you know, eventually will be a major part of our work. But in this series, it starts right in here. And we will work also with what we call in this method the human pause, feet and hands. So our feet will be strongly approached and our hands will be lightly approached. So, the class will be also approaching our hips and pelvic girdle, but very lightly. The main aspect of this class is the amount of time we spend on the floor with our spine, the amount of time we spend with our legs up at the wall, in the perception of gravity working for us, helping us with the circulatory aspects of our body. And also, very important part of this class, the engagement of the feet, the way we will be using the feet soles, the ankles, the structure, having a connection between that biomechanical action, that intensity, the stimuli that wants to rebuild the mobility we've lost in those areas, connecting with gravity, with blood flow, and with the pelvic structure. So it's a nice class. If you've been doing many classes in order, at this point you have noticed that we've been exhaustively approaching hips in various different hip positions. In this class, it's a lot less hip work and it's a lot more wall work. Lots of time at the wall, and this will be one of our main things for the next few classes. I will be approaching this class today from two different perspectives. The perspective of you that have been my student for a long time, and I'll be gradually increasing the amount of pressure, the amount of demand, the amount of intensity I'd like you to use towards your practice. And also from the perspective of the students who haven't practiced before, who haven't seen me in a classroom before, who haven't been exposed to the method and are just for the first time getting to know what we do and how we do it. So this is a very clarifying approach, and I think will be very helpful to all of you. So we will start going to the floor with our legs up at the wall and a head support. Have a strap or a belt with you. Have a wall that you can use in a place where you can stay for a long period of time. And have a few pillows, different sizes for you to adapt, to use, and to support yourselves in case you need. The neck rotation has to be approached very lightly if you are just beginning with this work. Not because there is a risk or a problem, but mainly because we want our systems to be exposed to a new type of stimuli from a very safe perspective, not struggling, not wondering, not experiencing doubts or fear at the moment. Starting in a very conservative way is the best way for you to progress fast. If your neck is very sensitive, even if it's super sensitive, like tight and rigid, you can definitely turn the neck a tiny amount, and that is enough. We just want to reintroduce mainly to our own brain, to our nervous system, the potential for that movement to exist. But we want to have that done with absolutely no pain and no concern at the moment. So instead of doing what I'm showing, I'd like you to do exactly what I'm telling you to do, the way I'd like you to do it. So don't have the images as your main reference points. Have everything I'm saying as your main reference point. This whole method is about you as a student becoming more and more capable of listening. The images are definitely clarifying, but they're mainly the direction you are moving in the future. They're not an imposed shape for you to be trying to create today. So listen to me, listen to the way I say, listen to the way I'd like you to be doing everything. That is the best way for you to be exposed to this method if this is your first time. First of all, have a pillow. It's very good if you can always use different pillows, different sizes, different shapes, different fabrics, different textures. That will help you to be exposed to more variety. And all that variety will help your body to become more adaptable as we progress. As you know, one of the main reasons why we become more rigid in life is because we lose adaptability. And this class is a lot about that, adaptability. So many pillows, different ones, different sizes, different weights. Everything that you can vary, you should vary. And that will provide your body with all the different demands that the body really enjoys in life. And that will be helping the body to be more healthy. So lie on your back with your head supported. For some reason, every time I tell my students to lie on their back, they tend to believe that they should be having their pelvis touching the wall. And that happens sometimes, but definitely that is not what we do all the time. I'd like you to be with your pelvis a few inches, maybe 5-10 inches away from the wall at least. So make it very comfortable. Have your legs up, absolutely relaxed. Knees are relaxed. My pelvis is at this moment feeling the weight of my legs dropping here. My spine and my torso are adapting to the floor. Lately, we've been living very comfortable lives. We have nice mattresses, our couches are very comfortable. So that leads to rigidity, because instead of being more adaptable in our bodies, we adapt the environment, and that impoverishes our adaptability. So most of this practice is about you regaining your adaptability, your capacity to be comfortable in your body, whatever the circumstances are. Today, this class is about you developing a blood flow that deals with this inversion in the way gravity is working. And this class is also about you developing a torso and a spine that's capable of being highly comfortable lying on the floor. Most of our modern rigidity, mainly in our spine, is related to that. We don't demand, and then because we don't demand from our bodies properly, they just lock up. And eventually, that comes to an end, and at that moment, we have pain. So we will be traveling back in time to a moment when we were a lot more flexible by nature, and we will try to keep that flexibility that I prefer to call adaptability, even as we grow much older. At this moment, if you're with me, you are with your legs up, and you might be noticing the change in temperature, maybe some tingling. You might be noticing that gravity is already creating a sense of relief. And at the same time, your torso is just getting more relaxed, more at ease, on the floor. Sometimes this, at the beginning stages of this process, being on the floor with our legs up is quite uncomfortable. But in my experience, after a few weeks, sometimes months, the students end up loving it and feeling a great relief. So most of my students, even when they're over 80, they do this simple pose daily for a long time, and it's quite helpful. Having your head supported, being in this comfortable position, if your shoulders tend to be more rigid or if they are in pain, just open your arms to the sides, having your palms facing up. Just have this sense of openness in the upper chest, but don't trigger any shoulder pain. If your shoulders are very, very flexible, if you've been practicing this method before, then instead of being here, I'd like you to have your hands under the pillow. And maybe, if that's doable, have your hands clasped. In this position, close your eyes. And let's do our first exercise. I'd like you to work with the idea that you are not going to be thinking through this class. I'd like you to work with the idea that your conscious mind will be learning how to be quiet. The first step in that direction is you applying a different way of feeling or perceiving your own body. Instead of thinking about your feet, I'd like you to be feeling your feet. When we feel something, our basic tendency is to analyze what we feel. And I'd like you not to do that. I just want you to feel your feet. Without judging, without labeling, feel temperature, the way it touches the wall. And then keep feeling from the feet all the way down to your pelvis, as if you were moving a scanner. So literally, scan your body through feeling. Meaning, you will not be actively thinking, but you will be actively feeling, which changes a lot the way our nervous system is operating. Gradually learning more and more how to have your talkative mind quieting down, what we call self-talk, that is very often negative and very often just raises a lot of doubts. All that in this process of practicing yoga will be learning how to educate and quiet down. For me, one of the best ways to start this process is the feeling, is to use our perception to feel without intellectualizing the things we feel. Feel your feet, feel your legs, then feel your pelvis, and gradually feel your whole torso, arms, neck, head. And towards the end of this time, just feel everything at once. Usually, if we do it, and we don't have to do it right, We just have to do it. Eventually, to almost all of us, a deep breath will end up flowing as a sign that our nervous system is changing and we are starting to relax. Relaxation is something that happens to us in this process. Then once you notice that, in slow motion, I'd like you to turn your head to the right without moving anything but the neck and the head, and reaching an angle where you have no pain. If you've been practicing lots of yoga with me before, I'd like you to be more intense and I'd like you to explore this rotation a lot more. But if this is your first class, if you're just beginning, then turn, be conservative, keep feeling instead of questioning yourselves. With your eyes closed, rotating only to the point where you have no pain. And then have no tension or effort. Be totally restful in here. Just reminding your own brain and your own body that the neck rotation is a natural capability of our body and we cannot live well without it. Even if your neck is very fragile today, nature is brilliant at responding to proper stimuli. Not about you trusting me, it's about you trusting nature and choosing an approach that is highly aligned with the logics of nature itself. Long-term students can now explore more of the same rotation. At the same time, we are working with our neck. We have our torso, our spine, our pelvis relaxing, letting go, and adapting more and more to the floor. In that process, vertebrae, discs, muscles, ligaments, everything will be demanded to become more adaptable in a very safe manner. Now, the more you feel your neck, the slower you have to move. But use the opportunity to practice your ability to move in slow motion, creating from the movement of your body a positive impact in your nervous system. Turn your head back to the center. Wait for the soft tissue inside of your neck to be coming back to normal or to neutral. And then, as you feel the whole system slowing down, enjoying this new pace, turn to the second side. If you have practiced before, if you've been exposed to this work before, then just go slightly deeper and then gradually deeper and deeper. If you're new to all this, be very conservative, have no pain. Reintroduce this movement to your own brain and body in a very safe way. It's important that the intelligence of nature inside of you might be able to trust your own approach. So if nature trusts you, things will be opening up very well. But if you use an aggressive approach, an anxious approach, probably defensive mechanisms will be triggered and your results will be postponed. Once you are in the pose, one of the best ways for you not to be exhaustively thinking is just you choosing to be restful, choosing to behave mentally, emotionally, physically, as if you were about to fall asleep. At this moment, for me, my feet, they're getting numb, very cold. I know this would be happening. I know how I feel after practicing this sequence. So this cold feeling and the tingling sensation feels really good and really right. I know I'm creating a positive impact in my circulation. My hands are also getting slightly numb, which for me translates exactly in the same way. It feels good and it feels right. There's no tension, no fear, no concern. And then I gently turn my head back to the center. Take my time, I feel more and more. I keep the restful attitude and I release my hands. This class is very slow paced. All the classes, they have different paces. In this one, because everything is about passive adaptability, circulation, blood flow, everything is slow. And learning how to enjoy the different rhythms as we work with our mind and body is a quite nice skill to be developed. Everything remains the same, but now I move my pillow back, having my head resting on the floor. This slight change in the angle changes a little bit the way I'm approaching the upper thoracic spine as well as my neck. If I'm too rigid and my head hangs, I have to support with a little smaller pillow in order not to have that struggle, that tension, that conflict. After having my head on the floor or slightly supported, I will move both of my arms over the head. At the moment I do this, I might find shoulder restrictions. If I do find them, if they are very intense, I can support more, using more pillows or supporting unevenly. And sometimes this is the shape for the students. They cannot extend the elbows and they cannot lower their hands. If this is your shape, that's perfect. Support yourselves and then stimulate right in here without overwhelming the system with lots of extreme demand. Be kind with all the different areas. If you're used to this work, then you can explore with more intensity. But if you're new to this, remember, your rigid shoulder, your painful shoulder, they have to be kindly approached for a long time before changes start to come. If you approach it aggressively, the defensive mechanisms will be triggered and the results will be slowing down. If you're here, fine. If you're here, it's fine. I'll be presenting it in here for you to see more clearly with my hands under the pillow. This is the direction you are moving. If this is your position, perfect. What I'm showing is just the direction for you to be moving in the future. The pillow is on top of your palms. You're extending your elbows and then extending your arms and the skin of your arms. Once you're there, close your eyes again. Now with a different support to the head or with your head on the floor, we will turn the neck again. With our arms in this position, neck rotations are very different. So from here, turn your head to the right again. At the moment you turn, you feel the level of mobility or the level of rigidity around the neck structure. Don't do anything about it, just feel. Acknowledge the reality of your body. And now, those of you with lots of experience with the method, with strong neck structures already, full of mobility and muscle tone, increase rotation. Those of you who are new to this, keep behaving very conservatively. If your feet feels really numb, and if that is awkward for you, bend your knees and have your feet at the wall. That will change and facilitate blood flow. If you have been practicing with me for a long time, stay here, allowing gravity to work in a much more stronger way, allowing the sequence to impact your blood flow even more. Your elbows are moving in the direction of a full extension. Your arms are consistently moving away from your head. So there is a part of the pose that is gently active. Long-term students, even when having stronger sensations, have to keep at this moment their intention of being in a restful state in their minds. Beginners have to be super kind, taking breaks whenever the breaks are necessary, because you want to make your own brain to be feeling safe. Both groups are at this moment having their spines and all the different structures in the torso interacting strongly with the floor. That is challenging. And the more restful we are, the more we have strong results coming our way. From here, turn your head back to the center. Wait for the different areas of your body to readapt, mainly around the neck. Once you feel your neck back to neutral, turn to the second side. Sometimes it's tiny rotation, and it's a lot to our neck. So whatever you can do, you should be doing, because it's better than nothing. And eventually this will pay off. If you have more mobility, explore. Long-term students explore a lot. Go really deep into this movement, into this way of working. One of the things we think about when we are in this position is, am I right? Or maybe my arms are not properly aligned. So I'd like you not to nurture those thoughts. And I'd like you not to make those questions at this moment because your body is learning to be here, and it might be your first time. So there is no such a thing as you being in the wrong position. As long as you have no pain, you are just regaining mobility in all different angles. So all the angles matter, including the angles that you think that might not be right. We need all of them. Eventually, what we want is just mobility and freedom with structure. We want to have more awareness, real awareness, meaning neurological connection between brain and body, body and brain. It's not about you imposing alignments and shapes that your body isn't yet ready to enjoy. And turn your head back to the center. If your shoulders are very sensitive, be extremely kind as you release your arms. If they are not, just be more casual, but also move slowly. And then bring your pillow back and support your head once more. Now, because of the amount of time we've been spending in this position, some of you are noticing that the numbness, the tingling, the cold is getting really uncomfortable. If that is the case, bend your knees, have your feet at the wall, move slowly because your spine and your torso have been on the floor for a long time as well. And then roll to one side and take a long break lying on your side. Don't rush. If you are fine, if you've been practicing a lot, and if you're noticing that intensity, just stay here and enjoy it for a few more moments. So, a group is taking a break, a group is continuing. None of those two groups should be experiencing a concern. If you're new to this, you have to take the break. That is the best way for you to learn and evolve fast. If you've been practicing for a long time, you know the sensation should not be creating fear in you. If fear is starting to show up, you have to take the break as well. If there's no fear, if there is an understanding that you've been developing over the years, then stay here, challenging your circulation even more with this kind and passive approach. Now, after taking this break on the side, you will come back here. But if you need a longer break, just pause the video. You can come to this later on. Sometimes, because we're practicing at home, it's nice to be able to stop, pause, take a long break, and then come back, like expanding the experience of the practice. Now, from here, new students will have their arms resting on the sides. Long-term students will be having hands clasped again. So we are increasing and changing the way we are challenging our body to adapt to this position. From here, all of you now have your legs together or as close as possible and press your ankles and press your legs. Sometimes the ankle doesn't touch because the knee touches first. So find a halfway, a middle way between all that. Press them together. Two groups, one with arms relaxed, one hands clasped. And I'll be showing and clarifying with my hands for you to be able to see more clearly. From here, I'd like you to press your legs, and then without having much blood up there in our feet, we'll be triggering some mechanisms that are biomechanical as well as neurological. It feels frustrating sometimes, but this is exactly what we're doing. We are deeply challenging our systems. Pressing your legs, I'd like you to be strongly making a fist shape with your right foot. We rarely do that, so keep your knee, move your heel, right heel down, move the front part of your foot up, and then close the sole of the foot strongly. It might cramp in your arch, in your toes, in your calf. So try to find a way of stimulating without triggering a super strong cramp. If it does, just manage it. This is not the type of cramp we have because we are exhausted or missing some sort of nutrients. This is a cramp that is coming just because we never do this. And this is one of the basic movements that our paws are capable of doing. Because we don't do, our feet get very rigid, and that rigidity travels through the leg biomechanically, reaching our pelvis and our lower back. So this is one of the best things we can do to improve circulation, but also to improve mobility in our whole body. So this is highly important, but we never stimulate our feet in this way. So strongly fist shape, and then don't reverse that, just relax. And second foot, exactly the same thing. Fist shape, see? Keep both legs there, but I want you to see that shape. You feel every single toe working and engaging, then your arch and then your calf. Everything working strongly. Consequences will be felt through the leg, but you are not focusing on those consequences. Allow the body to operate naturally. Just demand that action with intensity, but managing the potential for those cramps to be bugging you and preventing you from doing the whole practice. Very strong. Then you release. Now, keep pressing your legs and flex your right ankle. Now we are reversing that. Very strong flexion. The heel moves up, the base of your toes moves down, the tips of your toes moving down. You might feel the calf and the stretchy sensation, but you are actually working with your ankle, with your foot, and that is creating a biomechanical consequence. So don't tell your body what to do, just demand that action. Strong, powerful ankle flexion. And relax. Then the left foot does the same, strong ankle flexion. Very strong, very intense. And relax. In this class, you can also pause the video once you are repeating it and expand the amount of time you work here. Repeat a few more times, really giving to your feet all types of demand, stimuli that the human feet need to be more healthy and to impact positively the mobility and the health state of your legs. Then, now, pressing your legs together, both of your feet at the same time, creating that same fist shape. See if all your toes are engaging. Feel if one of them is not. Maybe an old injury. Maybe you didn't even notice how that happened. Now, just increase the intention. Try slightly harder to re-engage the movement. Allow your brain, under this positive stress, to find ways to regain that lost mobility. And pressing legs, using a strong demand and reversing both at the same time. And then I release. Bend your knees, all of you bending your knees. Rolling to one side. Taking a long break on the floor. This break is important Because after working for such a long period of time with your spine on the floor and allowing the spine to loosen up and to adapt to the floor this much, you now need a break, and we'll be going back to the floor in a few moments. So the break is now part of the sequence. Regardless of you being a long-term student of mine or not, this is the moment you take a break. You break the focus, the awareness, you break everything. And then once you come back, you redevelop the same approach. Now, grab a strap or a belt. You stand up, you take a little walk, you grab your strap, you grab your belt, you allow your brain and your body to integrate everything you did. If feet are very numb, you just stay longer lie on your side. This is very strong in our circulation, in our blood pressure as well. So just take your time if you're sensitive in that way, because you might get slightly dizzy as you stand up. Then, after refreshing the system, we'll be going back to the floor exactly in the same way. And again, we'll be working not with a stretch, but with a biomechanical demand, a biomechanical positive approach in our pause. And that is the main part of this class all the way to the end. So, lie on your back. Exactly the same distance, if not more. So make it highly comfortable. We've been here for a long time, then we took a break, we took a little walk, and now we are back to the floor. So this consistent type of subtle massage that we create in the spine is one of the main aspects of this method. Have your legs together again. And then place the strap in the middle part of your right arch. Keep your legs together, keep your legs pressing together a little bit, and then use the strap to bring your leg away from the wall a little bit. So because this is not about stretching the leg, it's about mobility in the hip, and it's about developing a lower back that is more free every time, every class, every day. Don't impose a stretchy sensation. Don't lift up your pelvis much. Just be there. Keep your knees straight with no pain. Hold both sides of the strap separately. And then have your arms straight. If you're very flexible, don't move your leg beyond 90 degrees. Be very conservative. If you're more rigid, you can't go wrong. Just don't impose too much sensation to the system. Then, don't just hold your belt. Squeeze your belt and use your hands strongly. Look to your right ankle. Look to your right foot. And then flex the foot and flex the ankle. Not you using the strap to flex your foot. The strap was holding the leg. You were flexing the ankle independently, creating a very strong stimuli once again. Sensation behind the leg might be strong, but that is not your focus. Your focus is your ankle, is your foot, is that action. And release. Legs together. Left foot inside of your strap. Release the right foot. Have that left foot relaxed. Move it away from the wall. Climb up with your hands. Squeeze with your hands. Being tense. Keep your knee straight and then flex your ankle strongly. Very strong action. and relax. Remove the strap. Bend your knees. Roll to one side once again. Now, after having our spine flat on the floor twice, one time for a much longer period of time, this time a very short period of time. So mobility, mobility, mobility. Now we'll be curving the spine forward and having a very light approach to our hips as well. Just creating space in the whole system for all these different things to be integrated and flowing together, working together. I will start showing this hip work in a chair, and I will explain why the chair makes it so much more accessible. I will use a chair that is firm, that doesn't tilt, and I'll be sitting at the front edge of my chair. My knees are together, my ankles are on the floor, my ankles are together, my heels are under the knee line, my feet are in the front part of the pose. From here, I will just have my right foot over the left knee. Very casual, but all of you with lots of hip rigidity, hip restriction, hip pain will be benefiting a lot just from being here. Some people are in this position, they have to be towards the back part of the chair and their knee will be here. So because your knee is up high and you can't move forward, that doesn't mean you should not be here. You have to find a way to be here, creating a tiny amount of positive demand in order for your body to stop losing mobility even more. So if this is your shape, this is perfect. Be here. Allow the pose to work for you. The more painful your hip is, the more kind you have to approach. But remember, if your hip is super painful, that means your hip needs your positive attention. It needs to be properly approached. So be kind. Don't trigger pain. Don't trigger pre-existing pain. But also, don't shut down an area that needs you. If you have a little bit more mobility, then you come here. And then if you have a little bit more, you can gently curve forward, which will change all the experience inside, and that is exactly what you want. So be at your optimum angle, the angle that allows you to be here feeling safe and not triggering pre-existing pains, okay? You want to just develop more and more freedom. You want to create more and more relief. So this is your position. Once I switch sides, you will switch sides. If your body is very sensitive, maybe this is the moment for you to, between sides, take a little break walking. If you have more mobility, if you can work on the floor, you will use first a pillow. So sit on your pillow. Instead of having one leg working per time or per side, we'll have both. Don't move your feet closer to you. This is not what we want. We want our feet to be over there. So the left shin is basically parallel to the front wall. The right shin is in front of the left. My knees are slightly closer. This line is parallel to the front wall. Okay, so I want to use an angle that helps me to expose the hip restrictions I have. I don't want to bypass them. Now, from here, exactly as I did with the chair, I lean forward, finding my optimum angle, the angle that gives me access to my hip, the angle that gives me access to the restrictions I have, some sensation, but no pain, no fear. If you have more mobility, if you've been practicing a lot, this is the moment when you go all the way down and you allow the breath of the pose to flow. So we have two very different approaches here. Highly conservative at first and for many, many weeks, and more intense once we see results, once we have more positive experiences, once we learn to enjoy the process of unloading all this rigidity and all this lack of mobility that comes with it. Just a tiny amount. So for me, because of my accidents, I have sensation around this hip. I have some reflexes traveling down through my leg. I have nothing on the right side. And all the things I feel, I know they translate as freedom afterwards. So there's absolutely no concern. And slowly come back. Being on a chair, you just switch sides now. Being on your pillow, exactly the same. I like the work on a chair a lot because it gives you more focus, more precision, more control. And at the beginning, when you first start practicing, that is exactly what you want. You want to just be experiencing great results with absolutely no risk and ideally with no pain. And the more you enjoy that, the more positive experiences you harvest, the more progression will be naturally helping you to practice with no sense of effort or discipline. You just feel like practicing because it feels good and it feels better every day, and you feel drawn to your practice area. Back to forward flexion. Also notice that on top of the hip work that we are creating here, we are, after having our spine on the floor for a long time, now curving the spine. The spine needs to extend, but it also needs to be able to curve. We were on the floor extending the spine in many ways. Now we are curving. So it's it's a whole approach. Just a few moments and we come back. If you've been practicing with me for a long time, I'd like you to add another pillow. So instead of going to the floor, I'd like your variation to be more complexity, mainly if you are highly flexible. If you're new to this but using a pillow, try to remove the pillow now. If you're using the chair, just switch sides again, going back to the first side. So same design. If you are very rigid, being on the floor doesn't allow you to move, then you should be on a chair or keep your pillow. And remember, if you're very flexible, if you've been practicing a lot before, I'd like you to use a higher support. Bend forward. Slowly come back. Switch sides again. Now, just go back inside of your mind to the same restful approach we were trying to create at the beginning. Being in a pose and not doing anything, just allowing the pose to do it for you. Even for a second, if you can develop this ability to be absolutely restful, that is an amazing skill in life. And come back. Once more, have your pillow to support your head. And one last time, let's go back to the floor with our back, and let's have our legs up. This time, supported with a pillow, having your legs relaxed. I'd like you to have the strap at the base of your toes on the right foot. Then just rotate the leg, having it more straight. The left one is absolutely relaxed. You use the strap to fold your ankle. It's not you making an effort with your foot anymore. It's you folding from the strap from your hands and having your foot relaxed. So squeeze the strap again. Now move this leg away from the wall. If this is very intense, stay here. Don't move to the next part. If you have more mobility, then I'd like you to fold in your right groin, moving your right foot to the left. So going across the center line. If you have lots of mobility, you're not bringing this leg all the way up here. You're keeping a conservative approach, working mainly with the ankle and developing more awareness of your pelvis on the floor. If you don't have much mobility, then deep flexion from the strap and move across the center line. Squeeze the strap with your fingers, with your hand. Very tiny. Demand, very brief. And you go back to the wall. Place the left foot inside of the strap. Release the right. Allow the right foot to drop. Fold the left ankle from the strap work. Then move this heel away from the wall. And finally move the left foot to the right without moving your pelvis much. Just one strong finger work, hand work. Stimulate your also pause strongly. If they're very sensitive, don't provoke pre-existing pain. But remember, we need strong hands in life. And release, just release.